Peppa Pig is a fun and lovable show for kids. But if you've ever actually watched it, you've probably noticed some things that don't quite make sense. The world of Peppa is full of talking animals, weird logic, and rules that seem completely random. Why do animals visit a zoo like it's totally normal? There are so many bizarre mysteries in Peppa's world, so let's dive in and try to make sense of them, if that's even possible. The Zoo Dilemma. Animals watching animals? Now, let's talk about one of the weirdest episodes in the series. Peppa and her classmates go on a field trip to the zoo. Seems normal, right? But in Peppa's world, animals live like humans. They have jobs, houses, and even go to school. So why would animals visit a zoo to look at other animals in cages? It raises a lot of questions. Are these animals locked up as prisoners? Are some species not allowed to live freely, like Peppa and her friends? And if the animals in the zoo can talk like everyone else, do they just spend all day locked up while other animals come to stare at them? The whole situation feels messed up. And let's not forget Madame Gazelle, Peppa's teacher, who is a gazelle, obviously. The moment they arrive, she looks terrified when she sees the zoo guard, a lion. Her eyes go wide with fear. That's not just a surprise. That's real fear. Moments later, she's startled again when a crocodile emerges from the water. So, does this mean the predator-prey dynamic still exists in Peppa's world? If so, that makes Peppa's town even stranger than we thought. Where are all the humans? Peppa's world is completely run by animals. They go to school, work jobs, and live in houses just like people do. But here's the strange part. Humans do exist in this universe, just barely. We've seen a few human characters before, like the Queen of England, a pirate, and even Santa Claus. But outside of these rare appearances, the world seems entirely ruled by animals. So where is everyone else? Why are there no regular human families living in houses next to Peppa and her friends? Did humans and animals once live together before something happened? One theory suggests that humans were kicked out after the animals evolved to be stronger and smarter. Maybe there was some kind of revolution, one where the animals decided they didn't need humans anymore. Perhaps they rose up, took over, and forced humans to live somewhere else, away from their new animal-run society. Why do some animals act like humans and others act wild? Peppa's world is full of talking animals who live just like people. They have jobs, go to school, drive cars, and even take vacations. But every now and then, some animals behave like, well, actual animals. And the difference is so weird that it's impossible not to notice. Take the zoo employees, for example. The lion guard doesn't greet visitors with a polite hello like everyone else. He roars at them instead. Then there's the crocodile guard, who doesn't even stand at the entrance like a normal worker. Instead, she stays half submerged in water, waiting for the perfect moment to leap out and startle guests. Why do they act so differently from the other animals? Shouldn't they also be walking around, working and chatting like everyone else? And then there's Mr. Fox. He's one of the most suspicious characters in the show. He's always lurking around, speaking in a shifty tone, and acting like he's up to something. But the most unsettling moment comes when he visits Grandpa Pig's house. Peppa and George are excited to see him, but Grandpa Pig is not. He watches Mr. Fox closely, and for good reason, because at one point, it looks like Mr. Fox is about to eat some of Grandpa's chickens. Peppa and George don't pick up on it, but Grandpa definitely does. The gravity-defying tears. Tears usually fall down. That's just how gravity works. But in Peppa Pig, crying doesn't follow the rules of physics. Instead of rolling down their faces, characters' tears shoot up, almost like tiny water fountains spraying from their eyes. One of the best examples of this happens when Richard Rabbit and George have a disagreement. They both get upset and start crying, but instead of normal tears, their eyes explode with water, sending streams shooting into the air. It's not a one-time thing either. Whenever a character cries, their tears always go up instead of down. So what's going on here? Is gravity different in Peppa's world? Are the characters secretly pressurized like water hoses? Or is this just one of those animation quirks we're not supposed to question? Either way, once you notice it, it becomes impossible to ignore. It's yet another mystery in Peppa's bizarre universe. Mummy Pig's oddly human features. In Peppa Pig's world, most characters have bodies that match their species. Madame Gazelle has horns, Mr. Bull has a stocky build, and Miss Rabbit has the long ears of, well, a rabbit. But then there's Mummy Pig, who looks strangely human. Most of the time, her round body fits the typical Peppa Pig style. But when she wears a bikini, things get weird. Her shape suddenly looks more like a human woman than a pig. She doesn't have the stubby proportions of Daddy Pig or the other adult animals. Her figure is noticeably different. So what's going on here? Did the animators just get lazy and decide not to draw her like a pig? Or is there some secret about Mummy Pig's past that we don't know? Whatever the reason, she has one of the most unusual designs in the show, making her yet another mystery in Peppa's bizarre universe. Miss Rabbit, the hardest worker in Peppa's universe. If there's anyone in Peppa Pig's world who desperately needs a vacation, it's Miss Rabbit. Unlike everyone else, who seems to have just one job, Miss Rabbit has every job. She drives the bus, pilots a helicopter, runs the supermarket, works as a firefighter, and even fills in as a doctor. If something needs to be done in town, chances are Miss Rabbit is already on it. But how does she manage all of this? When does she sleep? Does she even have a home? Or does she just work nonstop? Her ridiculous workload is eerily similar to Larry from The Amazing World of Gumball, another cartoon character who juggled too many jobs. The difference? Larry eventually had an existential crisis and quit everything. Miss Rabbit, on the other hand, just keeps going. Maybe she loves the chaos, or maybe she's one shift away from a total breakdown. Either way, someone really needs to give her a break. Mr. Bull. Why is he always at the school? Mr. Bull is the town's go-to construction worker. If something needs fixing, whether it's a road, a building, or a playground, he's the one to call. But there's one place he keeps showing up, even when there's nothing to fix: Peppa's school. It wouldn't be weird if he were just passing by, but he actually hangs around the schoolyard, sometimes popping up in the middle of lessons. Why? Does he just enjoy being there? Or is there another reason? One theory is that he has a soft spot for Madame Gazelle. Maybe they had some history, and he still hopes to rekindle it. But in the 2024 Peppa Pig movie, we see Mr. Bull get married, meaning if he was trying to win Madame Gazelle's heart, that plan is officially over. So, what's his real reason for lingering at the school? Another Peppa Pig mystery we may never solve. Weird naming choices. Peppa Pig follows a pretty simple naming system. Characters are usually named after their species. Mr. Bull is a bull, Miss Rabbit is a rabbit, and Susie Sheep is, well, a sheep. It's a straightforward pattern that makes it easy to remember who's who. But then along comes Mademoiselle Lapin, Peppa's French friend, and things start to get weird. If you translate her name, it means Miss Rabbit, which wouldn't be a problem, except that Peppa's world already has a Miss Rabbit. So why the duplicate? Did the writers not realize? Or did they assume kids wouldn't notice? Maybe they just ran out of creative names. Either way, it's a bizarre choice that adds to the list of Peppa Pig mysteries. The rabbit's strange fear of stairs. The rabbit family is the only family in Peppa's world that lives entirely underground. While most other animals have houses perched on hills, likely to avoid flooding, the rabbits have stuck to their burrow-dwelling instincts. Their underground home is cozy, but it comes with an unexpected downside. They barely ever use stairs. This lack of exposure has led to something strange. Richard Rabbit, the youngest in the family, is actually scared of stairs. In one episode, he refuses to go up or down them, needing help from the adults. It makes sense in a way. If you've spent your whole life hopping around a flat burrow with no stairs, the idea of climbing them must seem terrifying. Peppa Pig is a fun show, but the more you think about it, the more confusing it gets. From animals in zoos to crying physics that defy gravity, this universe is full of unanswered questions. But hey, that's part of what makes it so fun to watch.